It's good.
All right.
It's recording. Thanks,
Dang
Richie,
it.
for pointing that out.
Sorry. Or you can let them upload a file from, say, their drive. You can do all or one of these things. And so there's a lot of talk amongst educators that you should allow them to do whatever way they can because we don't know which device they're using. You can even select on paper. I guess that's a hybrid model. I don't know. But this is what we're going to work with, external tool. So when you click on that, you get another find box. And you click on this because you're choosing what you want your students to turn in. And you have a lot of options here.
Kathy, I think you're frozen on your screen. I only see the text entry web URL. Are you on another, are you clicking something else?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's frozen on yours, on our end. Unless it's just me.
I think you said you were pausing the share.
So I think you can see my hand.
Oh, there. Yeah, now you're good.
Thank you for helping me. So when we hit this external tool from the options, we get this little pop-up box, and we're going to go through and choose what kind of thing we want our students to turn in. So again, they have a lot of choices here, including Flipgrid and Kami and Pear Deck, Quizlet, like a lot of stuff. Turnitin, English department. But this is what I want to access most of the time is my Google Drive Cloud assignments. This is where they find and where you find your Google Drive stuff. So when I click on Google Drive Cloud assignment, it brings me up the same kind of search window of my drive. And I know that I have an empty slide deck here, and I'm going to click on this and submit. And I have to go through and hit select. And then it's going to add this to the student. And so when I hit save, it's going to show it to you, but I want to finish editing my assignment first. After submission type, you can decide how many attempts the students gets to do this, unlimited or limited. If you click limited, then you need to choose the number of times you're going to allow them to submit. So kind of think like Turnitin again, like how many times can they turn it in? If you go more than this, I would suggest you just do unlimited. This is what we were talking about with the initial discussion about grading in the whole group. All you do is click this button, and it's going to automatically link this assignment with your Synergy gradebook. And Jennifer is going to go in more detail about that. And again, we might only be best at this once we have live students and live assignments. But I'm going to try to get in the habit of this so I don't have to sync up my assignments later. Then you can choose who to assign it to, individual students, individual classes. And then I need to set a due date because that's how Canvas arranges their gradebook. So it's going to be due that Friday. And then I can choose when to make this visible. I'm going to choose to make this visible on Monday only until the Friday that it's due. By doing this, students will be able to access and work on the assignment only within this week. After this week or before this week, they can see a blue link in their gradebook that says there was an assignment, but they can't work on it anymore. So if you want to limit the time period that your students are working on things, like when you're in the unit and once you're past it, they can't go back, 3 months or whatever. There's lots of reasons for that. And then I hit save. And so this is what the students will see when they pull up this. So I have my embedded slide still. I have my instruction that I typed in. Please click on the blue hyperlink and complete the assignment. And now here's my blue hyperlink because I attached that as the submission tool.
Kathy, I'm going to break you for a second. We have a question. How do we assign something to more than one class?
So if you go to edit, and it says assign to everyone, you'll see that I only have IT Academy US History as the option. That's the class I'm in. The only way to make an assignment from this view that assigns to every single class you have is to cross-list your courses, which I don't recommend. But once you have this assignment done with all of its settings, you can copy this assignment to every single one of your courses if you want. And I can show you how to do that pretty quickly. I want to show you that they get a preview screen of this. When they click on this, as the directions say, it opens up a new tab for them. This is with a copy. So anytime you link an external tool, anything to your assignment, a submission, it forces them a copy, and you don't have to worry about telling them make a copy first before you edit. Anytime you link with external tool, it forces them a copy. So if I go back here and I go to my modules view, and let's say I went to a different class, and I wanted to put this same assignment in. Oops, wait. I can do import existing content from another course. Once I click on that, it tells me, do I want to copy a Canvas course? Do I want to unzip, all that. But if I say copy a Canvas course, it'll tell me, do you want all the content? After I select my Practice IT Academy US, it'll say, do you want all content or do you want specific? And so when I hit select specific, I will get a menu, and it'll ask me to choose which content I want. So when I hit select content, I have then a listing of all of my assignments. And so I can go into assignment view, and I can hit select content, and I can hit all my assignments, or I can choose which one. So I have a video for that. That's just the quick view of it. I'm going to go down to my US history course where we're working and go back to assignments. With this same assignment working as our practice, I can also add video here, or I can add a URL, I can add an image through these different editing pieces. So tables are a little bit wonky in here. Let me clean this out so that we're not.
Kathy, if you go to the HTML editor and click that, it'll show the code. You can just delete the code.
Thank you. Thank you, Kim.
You're welcome.
Starting here, if you want to insert a table, you can do this, and it looks kind of like Google does, except it's not as user-friendly in my opinion, because to move over, you click on it, it looks like it's not working, but it is. So it just gets a minute to get used to how this thing works, but you can insert tables. I found that when you copy and paste tables into here, it doesn't work out right. So you actually, if you want to create tables in Canvas, you really need to use this tool and just become a little more comfortable with it. You could do a table on drawing and then copy and paste it in here. That works good. You can insert media this way by pasting the source of your media from the URL. You can embed it if you wanted to and paste that code right in there. I don't use this one often. You can link a URL, right? Copy and paste right there. You can break any links that are set. So for those of you importing content into your classroom from the Commons, you can highlight the link and then just break the link with this button. You can insert or embed images. and you can copy and paste from the web, or you can bring an image from your images that you've used in any of your other courses, or you can use Flickr. I don't use that, but maybe some people do, so I don't know what that's all about. Anyway, I use this with political cartoons. I want to embed that in my assignment and then have them do something with it. There's a whole bunch of math equations here. I don't know how to do it, but you can do it. Then they have a dedicated YouTube link so that you can copy and paste, but you can also search YouTube. So I don't have one in particular, but I know there's a lot with Kid President, right? And so I can click on that and I can embed it in there. Also, let me kind of jump gears for a minute. If you have a video embedded in your slides and you embed your slides in Canvas, you can also play directly from here. This is a slide presentation that's embedded in a different course. And as the students are clicking through here, looking at information, they come up on a video, they can push play from here and they can play it within the Google slide. So you can do that as a way, because we know that in Google Slides, you can edit your videos with a start and stop point. So that's one way to get a video inside there without linking a video. And then you can link directly into Quizlet. If you have things saved in there, it's going to ask you to search for that. You can upload or record media. So I can record media from my device and put it directly in there. I can upload media, video and audio files from my hard drive if I have them already embedded there, and so I can upload that way. Through this external tool, we can also add video through Canvas. So the Canvas Studio that's included in our subscription, we can upload those things. And then, yeah, it wasn't working because I didn't let it use my microphone. So these are all things that we can insert right in here. We can also link different things with the external tool. As I said with this, if you go to the Kami training and you look at Kami, how it's used to annotate, there is a dedicated Kami Google Drive assignment. So anytime that you are assigning something to your students and you're linking through the external tool from Google, they are getting a Google Drive folder with their Canvas assignments in it if you've used the external tool. And so you might have to tell your students where to look for that. I'm showing my drive, I believe. In their drive, there is now a new folder after they start interacting with Canvas and doing assignments that's called the Kern High School District. So it's not going to be labeled Canvas. Once they open the Kern High School District folder on their drive, they're going to see the course names for every course they've interacted with. I'm part of a lot more courses. It's not showing me every course I own or teach in, it's just showing me the ones I've interacted with. And then if I go inside those courses, it's not showing me every single assignment in there because I have hundreds. It's only showing me the assignments that I've actually clicked on and worked with. So if your students are working on a document that you have linked, they will automatically get a copy in this folder for them. So that's another plus for adding an external tool, because it's going to save a copy for them. So if you think about documents that you want to link, that you want them to access over and over and re-edit and review, then this would be a nice option because they can go back into Google Drive and see their work. But it's only for the external tool through Google, and it's only documents they worked on. Google does not automatically make a copy of every single assignment in your Canvas. So it's only what they worked with. You automatically also have a studio file if you make studio recordings, kind of like if you have a Screencastify recordings, you'll find a file in your, or a folder in your Google Drive. So let me remind myself where we're at here in my little schedule here. So uploading. Any questions on assignments that I haven't gone over that you're wondering?
There's nothing in the chat.
I see something that
I got a quick question if you wouldn't mind.
Mhm.
Once, because I don't know the exact format of the way things are working, can students access an assignment outside of their class time period? So like, let's say they want to go in the evening time and do it. Okay, they can.
Yes, they
All right,
can. It's on you to make the availability window.
gotcha. Okay,
No time clock on it like we have with Google Classroom. It's just dates. So as long as you leave that date open, any time of the day, they can access it.
gotcha. Okay, thank you.
The other thing that I didn't mention this time is you can link different assignments to this. So let's say that I want them, please review your graphic organizer that we did last week. I can then go over here, links to the right, and I can click on this, and it has a listing of every assignment in this course. So I can link it in there. So if I have a graphic organizer here, and I don't know that I do, so let's just pick this thing. It puts the link right there in it. So what you're telling your students to go back and visit, you can also link right there. So when they click on it, it's going to open it up in a new window and they're going to start editing it again. To remove any hyperlinks, you just backspace, or you can break the link. You can also access any other page of information. So let's say you want them to go back and read that text again. You can click on the text that you want them to read and it'll be right there again, so that you can like minimize the number of directions you're giving students, you know, like remember last week and go in the drive and find the document, and you can just link things right there. And there's no limit to how many things you can link in here. It's just up to you and your students' workflow. You can also link files. I don't know why you would, but you can also link images. So again, it's images I've used through this course, or you can upload a new image and you can link it there if you didn't want to embed the image for whatever reason. So with that, any last questions before I go to discussions?
There's a question, when you create the assignment, is it visible to students or do you need to click publish? And I just said you need to publish for it to be visible to the students.
Right, and pay attention to these dates, because even though it's visible to students, once you push publish, they can't work on it until it's within whatever dates you set. If you don't set any dates, by the way, it'll just default to it's automatically visible. So those of us that have been playing around with Canvas and publishing our assignments, we've had some students interact with us because they're already in Canvas and they're looking. So don't publish your class if you're not ready for them to look. Okay.
Can they still submit it after the due date?
Yes, they can submit, but
they can
in the
access.
gradebook that you automatically have with Canvas, it color codes when it comes in outside of the due date. And so again, Jennifer will be going over that stuff with her grading session. It's kind of cool.
Okay,
At a
okay.
glance, you can see who was late and who was not, kind of like Google Classroom. If you
Okay, cool, thanks.
If you set those bottom dates, will the assignment get locked after that date and they won't be able to submit?
Right, because they can't even click on it, so they can't submit anything.
Okay, so if you don't set the bottom, once the due date is passed, they cannot access and submit it. So you have the due date, and then those bottom two are kind of the will still accept it dates. Is that correct? Or availability after the due date?
So if you set a due date of Friday, but you made it available for a week after that, they can still work on it. They can still submit it. It'll show late. If you put the due date as next Friday and it's not available after next Friday, then they will not be able to open it at all. So they cannot submit it.
Okay.
Okay, couple questions, Kathy. How do we email the entire class from Canvas?
Okay.
And then the other one was, doesn't the assignment also have to have a due date for it to sync with Synergy?
It does not have to have a due date to sync with Synergy to my knowledge, but again, I haven't tried it with live students. It just has to be named the same thing, and you have to say sync with Synergy. But I don't know for sure, because I don't have live students yet. Jennifer, this afternoon, like she's got a big list of things now.
I keep writing them down.
Right. So over here to the right, in your real class that you have, let me go to a real class for a minute, because this fake one doesn't have students. If I go to my real class that the Kern High District published for us, right, and I go over here to people, which I can see, but students can't, and I click on that, I can see all of my students, and I can email, where is it? I saw, I don't know off the top of my head. I'm gonna have to look on how to email my whole class at the same time, because I saw it yesterday, but now I don't. So I'm gonna go back to my regularly scheduled programming of Canvas discussions. Go back to my practice classroom so I don't mess up my real one. And I'm going to add a discussion, which looks slightly different than pages and assignments. Again, I go here, I click on discussion, and I want a new one, and it's going to be my practice, 1.3.7 practice, and I add it. And so I go all the way down to the bottom, and I'm going to see this, and notice that it has a different little icon. So pages look like that, assignments look like that, discussions look like that. I click on it, and again, it's empty until I hit edit, but I don't, I have a few different things. I can still do the editor, so I might decide to put a picture in here for them to talk about. Or I might copy and paste something, or I might put a statement. Reconstruction was a failure. Agree or disagree with this statement and provide 2 reasons. And so down here, because I can attach a file for them to read through if I wanted to, like remember the stuff. I have a couple of options or a few options for discussions. And so it's up to you to allow or disallow these things. You can allow threaded replies. So your students can create a thread, you know, going on similar to what we see in social media. This is one I always check. Users must post before seeing replies. So if this is an assignment for my students and I want them to do it, then I want them to do it, not to read everybody else's post and then, you know, type up one that looks very similar, except just 2 words are changed. And I also want them to be brave. So they have to post before they can read anyone else's. So you need to prep your students with that. And that's why I have the videos down at the bottom of that linked syllabus type thing or schedule, because if you don't warn them, they think no one's doing it, and they're like, oh, I don't have to do this either, no one did it. They don't realize that there are already 27 posts because they haven't posted yet, so they haven't seen it. You can enable different things to be added on here, a podcast feed. You can make this a graded assignment because you can add a rubric if you want to. You can allow liking of individuals' posts that only you can see, or you can sort the likes so you can kind of get a rough draft of who had the most popular ideas or the most common. You can add to student to-do list, and you can do this with all assignments. Let me show you what this does when we create this one. I can add it to the student to-do list, and I can put a date if I want to. I'm going to put the date as today so it works. I can make this a group discussion, and again, I can change the availability of when this discussion is visible to students. And let me set that ahead so you kind of see that difference. And then I hit save and publish on this. And this is what it looks like when a student sees it. I'm going to show you student view for a moment of something that's visible but not accessible yet. Oops, went too far, sorry. This is what the student sees when they've accessed an assignment outside of the available dates. So they know, oh, there's something there, and they know also when it's going to be unlocked. So if students are organizing their time and workflow, then they can look at these ahead of time, and that's why I like putting the available dates on, is because it gives the students information. So even if you had your whole module visible at one time, they can click through and see, but not work on it out of order, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna leave.
Kathy, can I break you for a second? So Miguel had a question. A question. I've heard multiple people saying they are only having the modules tab and not the pages, files, etc., to make it easier for students. Is that something you recommend? So,
Totally.
oh, okay. My interpretation is models is kind of like a folder where you keep all those pages assignments in if you're looking on the home page, but you can probably address that too.
So with modules, at least with what the district created, I created coursework for social studies. The modules view is like a unit, and then each section is the ordered work of that unit. If you want to think of weeks, you know, like you have a unit that takes 3 weeks and there's 3 sections, those are the 3 weeks. I tell my students to do module view because it has the work in order that I want them to do it. Pages, you'll notice this is my practice classes, so we can see pages. But when you look at your district course that they pushed out, pages is not visible to students. Because when they click pages, they see everything out of order, unless someone has gone in there and ordered it. And they also see these things, these pages that don't have work. It's everything that's created in a page. So I tell my students, look at modules. If they look at just assignments, they will also see things kind of out of order. Unless you go through, you know, a pretty strict detailed numbering system. It's taking a minute. So see how this is out of order? I don't want them doing that in that out of order. I want them doing it in the order that I have the modules. So I suggest always module view as a unit, but I suppose it would matter on your content. That's just how it works for me in social studies. I want to go down to this discussion again real quick because I want to show you what it'll look like. They hit reply when they want to reply to this. There's going to be a text box that opens up. Let me edit it and open it so you can see what the students would see. I'm going to clear this date. And I'm going to clear this date so we can see it in student view. I'm going to save it. And I'm going to go to student view also so you can see the to-do list. In the student view homepage, these are assignments on their to-do list because I checked to-do list on those assignments when I created them. If you don't check to-do list, they don't have this. So again, it's up to you. I don't know if you want that for your students or not. You can decide for yourself or have input from students, but this is what adding it to the to-do list does on their homepage. Then when I go to that discussion assignment in student view, now that I've unlocked it, so there's no time limit on when they can see it. They can read instructions of failure, agree or disagree. They hit reply and they get this HTML editor. So they type their response in it however they want to, you know. But I also tell my students, because some of them are Google friendly more than this, you can copy and paste from your Google Drive. That's okay with me. It's up to you, but they can copy and paste just like we can. They can insert this, and then they do post a reply. And once they do that, then they can see other people's responses. So then you can like this response, or you can reply to this response in a threaded reply, because I've made that possible. So the discussions, I think you'll find from summer school teachers, the discussions are something that students usually like to do, and you can kind of trick them into doing real work through the discussion because they feel like they're being social. And the way you trick them into doing real work is you can add a rubric to this discussion if you want to, and then you can grade it. And so that's kind of a segue into adding a rubric. To add a rubric to an assignment, you click on this assignment, and it's kind of counterintuitive. You don't go to edit. Down here, oh, it's because I've got an you have to add an assignment before you add the external tool. So let me go to a different one that I don't have an external tool on, so we can do it quickly. I hope this one is it. No.
Writing's not that easy, but Grammarly can help.
I'm trying to find one that I can add a rubric on that doesn't already have a rubric on it. I should have had this set up. Let's do create a new. Now the fact that we're being recorded is a pressure thing for me. Okay. Practice on rubric. Before you set up the assignment, you see this rubric added. The reason I didn't see this little button earlier is because all of the assignments I have already entered have a rubric added. But this is how we add a rubric. So before you start assigning, thinking about how you're going to grade it, when you click add a rubric, you get this whole big menu, and you can create your own rubric by setting criteria and ratings and points and checking all of these boxes. Like, it's very rich, but here's my go-to. I say find a rubric. And if you're using the district created curriculum, there are tons of rubrics in there. So I go to one that I have in US history, and it's going to load all the rubrics that are already added to something in that course, and I can decide to reuse one. Oh, I want to use the 12-point claim, evidence, and reasoning, not the 35 points. So I click on that, and then I go down here and I say use this rubric, and it's added to my assignment for me. And when we go to grade this assignment, from a teacher view of something that's submitted, we'll see that you can use speed grader, and you can just click all over this rubric and it automatically grades it for you. I know that's hard to see without like seeing it done, but that's how we add rubrics. You can create your own, or you can add something that's already in courses.
Is Jennifer going to go over that in her training? How you just click on the rubric?
Yes, I will.
Oh, okay. Thank
Yeah,
you.
Sorry.
You're going to record that, right?
Of course, I'm going to record everything.
I'm going to try to
What do we
remind
got?
you so that you can record, since I didn't remember from the beginning. Who's ever watching this and didn't get pages in my aha moments with immersion.
I record on a Post-it.
Any other questions? Because I'm at the end of my list. And we're at 10:03. And you have your department meetings at 10:30, so I wanted to have any time for questions or any like random thoughts that I didn't go over, but maybe I know the answer to, and time for you to like use the restroom before the next thing.
I have a question about if for example, students have writing assignments and let's say they didn't turn out so well. So I want to push it back out to them, incorporate their the feedback that I've given them.
Mhm.
Can I do that through Canvas?
Yes. If you have
Okay.
them add it through an external tool, like they've uploaded
Okay.
a Google Doc or you gave them a blank template, I think I have one here. I've given the students a blank template to write on here. And it's forcing them a copy of this Google Doc. And so they're going to write on this and they're going to submit it. But because it's a Google Doc, then I'll be able to comment on it. And so it will show up in their drive. So it may take me grading it and adding, there's my rubric. It may take me grading it and then sending them a message, please redo, but they can access it in their Google Drive and then edit with your comments because it is a linked Google Drive. It's a live doc. Changes that happen on it, things that you edit will show up when they open it again.
Okay, but if it were, for example, something that was typed into the Canvas sort of like breakout area, then
Right.
that's not something that can be pushed back out to them. Okay,
No, you would just have to tell
thank
them.
you. Right. But would they have access to it then?
If it's something that they put in a text box, no, they're not going to see that again once they submit it. Only if
Okay.
it's something that's linked.
Okay, that makes sense. I had a follow-up question, but I forgot it. So I'll think while someone else has a question.
Kathy, I have a question. Looking at modules, and so I'm creating my classes, I'm creating in one class.
Right.
If I want to move one of my modules and I click on the three dots on the side of the top of the module,
Right.
if I move contents, is that going to take it out of this current class? Or can I, and if I duplicate it, I'm just going to have two of the same in the same class. Is there an easy way to do that?
Are you talking about this buttons over here that I'm showing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you duplicate the assignment, it does duplicate this whole assignment, and whatever changes you make happen all over that assignment. So you really want to make a copy of the assignment.
So I'm talking about the whole module. So if you
go
click on,
here,
right, yeah.
I can move the module this way. Yes, and it's just reordering in your class and you're not going to lose anything. It's whatever order you want. I can move content. Let's try.
So if you move it to another class, so I've got 12.2 and 12.4.
You cannot move this using that tool to another class. You can just move it somewhere else within this class.
Okay.
To move a whole module from the class, you have to go back to that. You have to go back to import from existing content and
Okay.
choose class and all that stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, you'd have to
That
choose
sounds easy
the course
enough.
you want, and then the specific content that you want from the specific course. And then you'd have to go about clicking that and the module that you want.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Kathy, I have a very dumb question, I think.
Not dumb.
It shows Google Drive on the course homepage.
Yeah.
That's going to be linked to the kids' Google Drive, right? Not my Google Drive.
Right, it's theirs. So whatever drive they have with their Kern High account, that's where they can click on it and find it. So if we look here, where is it? This, for me, opens up my Google Drive. When they click on it, it will open up their Google Drive.
Okay, just making sure.
Mm-hmm.
Kathy, question, are students able to use the immersive reader tool to help them write a discussion post?
No, the immersive reader tool only works in Pages. So if they were going to need to help write, I would suggest they do it in Google and then use a translate and then copy and paste into the discussion. Because you can copy and paste into your discussion post, just like you can a page or an assignment.
Kathy, do you think that Google Classroom will have any sort of a value in this with Canvas, or do you think that's kind of redundant? Like
So,
your personal opinion.
my personal opinion is I think Google Classroom does enough and it's becoming richer and I loved it already and I wish we had the option. However,
Same.
politically correct answer is we all have to use Canvas. And so if you continue to use your Google Classroom, you're going to do double the work because you have to maintain your Canvas for every student, equity, parents, accountability,
Sure.
administration, yada, yada.
I've got a question for you. Okay, so last year, well, the end of last semester, I'm sure we were all using Google Classroom, but so I've linked assignments from this year coming up. I've linked assignments to my assignments in Google Classroom. So when they go on to the assignment, I embedded a link. They click on the link and it'll take them to the assignment from Google Classroom. Now, do my incoming freshmen, do they automatically have a Google Classroom since we're all under our Google account?
They don't automatically have a Google Classroom. They automatically have a Google Drive. So all you need to do is go into your Google Classroom assignments and make sure you open the share settings for each individual document that's in that Google Classroom.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
they default to private, right? So open
Yeah.
up the share settings and then that's a good point for everybody that's doing anything in Google. Anytime we link an external doc, we have to make sure that the share settings are open because this is adding people. I want to make sure I go to the Kern High School District. Anyone in this group can share a document. This is already open, so it's a hard example to show you, but there's two boxes like this. You want to go down to this one and make sure it's anyone with the link can open it. Otherwise, the things you link to your assignments in Canvas, sometimes your students, it says, oh, requires permission, and then you get that whole thing again. Was there any other questions?
None in the chat.
Just to follow up to my previous one about drafts. So I pushed back a draft to a student and then they correct it and it comes back to me in my Google Drive, right? And then I just manually maybe overwrite grade or make averages that are consistent with their improvement, hopefully, to the assignment. So it won't go back into Canvas, correct? I'll get it in my Drive.
Well, if you push it out to them, like I have one where they have to redo it and then they resubmit for their, at the end of each section, I have like a correction and extension activity where they have to like review my comments and then do it. And so it's a separate assignment here. So they're going to submit it again to Canvas. So I will get it again in Canvas.
Okay.
If you don't do it as a separate assignment for them to redo again, then yes, you'll have to check your Drive and you'll get an email notification that someone has shared something with you again. Does that make sense?
Can you go over the latter portion again?
So like
You said that. Mm-hmm.
If I'm making a comment on a Google document that they turned into me, so they turn this in and I start making some comments because this is a Google Doc, and I tell them redo the last paragraph, and then I comment on it and I close it up, and then they get that comment back because it's in their Drive. I'm going to either have to send them a message or make an announcement that says, check your Google Drive for my edits. unless
Okay.
you put it into a new assignment.
So I'd have to open up another Canvas assignment for them to submit those revised pieces.
If you want notification in Canvas. If you're fine with checking your Google Drive and shared, then you just do it that way. But if you want it to come
Yeah.
back to you in Canvas again, then you have to like put it in an assignment. And that
Got
can
it.
be as easy as just writing. Like you don't have to create
Yes.
a bunch of bells and whistles. Like you
Yes.
can say assignment, new, turn back in,
Mm-hmm.
add the item, go down here and just add some information. Review my comments on the reconstruction CER and edit. Then please share with me through Google.
Got it.
And that would be all you'd have to do.
Yeah.
And so that shows up on this, and you could add, where's to-do list?
Like pick specific students.
You could.
That's usually the case, but
You
okay.
could,
Or I
yeah.
can just push it out to everybody and it's to whomever it applies to.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And then you'd hit save, and it would show up on their list of assignments within that module.
Okay.
Nisha, there is a function in Gradebook that you can push out an email specifically to students that earned a specific grade or lower.
Oh, lovely. Okay, I'll look forward to that next session.
Jennifer, I didn't know if you did this over the summer. In my summer school class, when they submitted something, and I'm going through SpeedGrader, you can comment on there, but I didn't do it, but I don't know if you did. Doesn't it allow students to resubmit assignments or make corrections? Because it did send them notifications if I made comments through SpeedGrader.
Yeah, it automatically sent the grade with the comments, or an email for the comments and grade. I think it's in what Kathy was showing us. If you change the limited
Mhm.
or the unlimited to limited and only do one
Mhm.
submission, they can't redo it. But if you leave it unlimited, they can just revise and continue to resubmit, and it'll come up under that same assignment. I didn't see an indicator when they did resubmit in the gradebook itself. Like you didn't get a reminder that they had resubmitted. So the kids would just email me when they had.
Right, that's the component that I can't remember if they resubmitted. They never did for me, but
I had a kid that did, and I couldn't figure out how to turn it off because he wanted to submit things 20 times, which I'm not complaining. But there wasn't a reminder. So he had to send that email to let me know that it was submitted. So that was the only part I wasn't sure about.
And I haven't used the chat function in Canvas yet, so I suppose they could send a chat as well if they don't want to access their email account or whatever, or I guess you could. And you could use your announcements function also to like let students know. It's just whatever you get your students in the practice of checking. You know, like if you want to put announcement in here, hey, remember to check my edits, or remember to redo the last essay or whatever. You could do it that way. They have a chat function over here that gives you new message alerts. Like you could click that so it does give you an alert every time there's a new message through chat. So again, if you get your students in the habit of that workflow, then they check the chat. I know from my own child in my house, this is where students get a lot of help from one another in her Canvas classes. They're chatting, hey, did you see where the assignment was posted? I can't find it. And the other one's like, oh, go to Pages, I found it there. So like the chat could be used for students between students, or for you to students, and for students to you.
I had a quick question about slides. Like I typically will have a daily up for my class so that each day they know what the goals are. do you think that that's something that would be useful on this platform? Or, I mean, is that something you put that I could maybe put on my homepage? Or do you think that's kind of like, you know, not necessary?
Again, so I'll let others answer it because some have taught summer school and so they know, you know, better than me. But for me, it's what I train my students for. So if it's something that I like, then I'm going to train them. I'm going to nag them the first couple of weeks till they all get used to it. But if it's not something I like, then I'm not going to add it. What do you guys think that have taught summer school?
I'm okay, so the way I'm interpreting the question is like the routines of what you want your kids to do. And so for my first week, I think I'm just going to show them around. I'm not going to do very much math, but definitely show them around and orient them to my Canvas course, let them know what my level of expectations are for them. But then again, there'll be kids that'll be gone because they don't have access, they don't have Wi-Fi, whatever else. So I'm going to video record like an introductory how my expectations for them, and then the routines of my course, so that the kids can go reference it as a video. But my first week is just going to be kind of going over routines, and again having a module 0 type thing, you know, to remind them, so they have a couple of different, you know, they can look at the video, they can look at the module 0 where the information is, and then of course the first week is going to be dedicated for all that routine based stuff.
I think her question was, do you want on your homepage like a place where students check each day about what we're doing that day? Like, do you have a dedicated space for that?
I had a dedicated space. I just called it Week at a Glance. And I've built one into the homepage for this year as well. It's a little time consuming, but I think the kids really like it because they can see the week. And then I also link, as Kathy showed us how to link those assignments, I actually link the assignments into each day. So they could go into modules if they wanted to, or they could go into Week at a Glance and they would go, oh, here's Monday, here's the links we worked on. And if kids were absent, they could come back on Wednesday and they would know exactly what we had done while they had been gone. So it does take a little bit more time because it is one extra step, but I just liked it because it kept me organized and the kids weren't coming back from missing a day going, oh, what did we do? What part of the module did we do?
Okay, yeah, that was my thought too. Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Kathy, just Miguel said thank you for the YouTube links. I don't know if you read the chat.
I'm not reading the chat because I'm still sharing, but you're quite welcome. This was something that I got from the summer teams. And so I think that it's in our early assignment so that I can hopefully train the students on what I want to see in discussion without having to like yell at them every day about what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. Okay, do you think it's safe for me to stop recording?
I do, and I'm gonna bow out because I have to get ready for the next thing. So,
yep.
Thanks.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you, Kathy. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.